And also here with us is someone with more radical vision of the future, Patri Friedman, founder of the Seasteading Institute. Seasteading, like platforms like this one, seasteading instead of homesteading. We'll get to his idea in a minute. All right, Patri Friedman, forms in the ocean, why?
Well, we want people to be able to peacefully test new forms of government. I mean, no technology advances unless you can try new things. The same is true for political systems, just like anything else.
This would allow a few people to experiment and we'd see what worked best.
Exactly. Instead of arguing about what'll work, without actually seeing it in practice, let's let a bunch of groups go and put their ideas in practice and let reality decide what actually works.
And right now, governments control all the land, so you need to create a new place. You wouldn't start right away with platforms. You'd start with big ships.
That's right. Anyone who's been on a cruise ship has been on a floating city, right? The biggest oasis of the seas has about 6,000 people on it, plus crew. They supply food, power, water.
But they have to obey the laws, I assume.
Actually, there's a lot of regulatory freedom to be had on the ocean under existing international law.
Anybody signing up for this?
Yeah, we actually had to have a question in our FAQ that says, we don't have condos yet. Please don't ask us to buy them. Because people are like, sign me up, I'm ready.
Really? You going to move to one?
My wife says we can move once it's got a few thousand people, so sounds good to me.
I mean, you really think this is going to happen?
Well, I'm not sure it's going to happen.
You've raised millions of dollars.
Yeah, we've raised almost $2 million in 3 years. Our lead donor is Thiel, who invented PayPal, was the first investor in Facebook. You may have seen him in The Social Network as that gray-haired guy. And yeah, I think it's really going to happen. It's a bit of a long shot, like any startup, but it's a long shot worth taking because if it works, it'll completely transform government, right? Instead of all of this complaining about how our government works, we can go out and compete with it. I mean, it's the entrepreneur's way to fix things. Go do something better.
And there is some precedent for this. There's a Dutch abortion ship?
That's right. Women on Waves is a Dutch-flagged ship that goes around to countries where abortion is illegal, and it goes into port, people get on board, and then it goes out past the 12-mile limit and performs abortions. And I mean, of course, the number of abortions it performs is not very large, but it's the conversation it sparks in the country about what is and isn't allowed. And some ports have blockaded this ship, said you can't come in, but they've never said it's illegal to do what you do out past 12 miles. They're under Dutch law because they fly a Dutch flag.
So let me ask the audience, would any of you consider moving to a seastead?
Woo!
Wow. You want to sign up now? Do you have questions for either of these gentlemen? Yes.
You're saying living on a platform on the sea, right? So
That's
what
right.
about weather conditions?
Yeah, that's one of the big engineering challenges is you have to design these things so that they can survive weather and the waves. But the technology exists with oil rigs. It exists with cruise ships. We just need to make it more comfortable, more expandable, and eventually a lot cheaper.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're saying that government is different when it's on the seastead. What happens when government starts developing there and they start regulating things? Is it going to be different?
That's a great question. And so what the seasteading does is it creates this startup sector for government. And right now the government industry, it's this cartel. There's only so many governments and nobody with a good idea can start a new one. In a healthy industry, people are constantly trying out new ideas, starting new companies, and the pressure, if T-Mobile doesn't keep up with Verizon's innovations, they'll lose customers. So if we create this world where people can start new countries all the time, whenever an entrepreneur has a great idea for a new political system, we'll get constant improvement that we don't have today.
Yes.
I'd kind of come to accept that I'm probably never going to be able to afford oceanfront property. How affordable is this going to be?
At the beginning, the prices are about $300 a square foot, which is actually about what it cost me to live in the San Francisco Bay Area. And that's at the beginning. There's technologies that could bring the price way down to there. There's no reason to think that in the long term, in 20 years, it couldn't be as cheap as living on land.
Well, thank you, Patri Friedman. Good luck to you.